My name is Lucy, and at 49 years old, I thought I had seen everything. Working as an emergency room nurse in Chicago for over 20 years will do that to you. I had witnessed births and deaths, miracles and tragedies, moments of incredible human strength and devastating weakness. But nothing in my career prepared me for what I would see on that cold November night. I had been married to Daniel for 22 years. He was a high school history teacher, the kind who made learning exciting for his students, who stayed late to help struggling kids. At 51, he still had that boyish enthusiasm that had attracted me to him all those years ago. We had 2 daughters, Emma and Sophie, both in college now, leaving Daniel and me to navigate the empty nest together. My best friend since childhood was a woman named Rachel. We had grown up on the same street in a suburb outside Chicago, attended the same schools, been bridesmaids at each other's weddings. Rachel had been married to Tom for 18 years, and they had one son, Jake, who was a senior in high school. Rachel worked as a real estate agent, successful and driven, always impeccably dressed and organized. She was the person I called when I needed advice, when I wanted to celebrate good news, when I just needed someone to listen. Daniel and Rachel got along well, as they should have after all these years. The 4 of us often had dinner together, went to concerts, celebrated holidays as an extended family. It felt natural, comfortable. That November evening started like any other night shift. I arrived at the hospital at 6:30, ready for my 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. shift. The ER was already busy, the waiting room full of people with various ailments and injuries. I loved the controlled chaos of the emergency room, the adrenaline rush of not knowing what would come through those doors next. Around 9 p.m., things quieted down momentarily. I was at the nurse's station, updating patient charts, when my phone buzzed with a text from Daniel. "Working late tonight, grading papers, don't wait up, love you." I smiled at the message and texted back a heart emoji. Daniel often stayed late at school during exam periods, and I was used to our schedules not aligning. The night continued with the usual mix of cases: a child with a high fever, an elderly man with chest pain, a teenager who had broken his arm skateboarding. Around 11 p.m., I took my break and called Rachel, something I did frequently during my night shifts. "Hey, Lucy," she answered, but her voice sounded strange, breathless. "Are you okay? You sound weird." "I'm fine, just got back from a showing." "Long day? How's your shift?" "The usual chaos." "Want to grab coffee this weekend?" "Sure, sounds good. Listen, I should go. Tom's calling me. Talk tomorrow?" "Okay, bye." The conversation felt off, but I dismissed it. Rachel was probably just tired. I went back to work, taking care of a woman who had fallen and possibly broken her hip, helping stabilize a man who had arrived with severe abdominal pain. At 1:15 in the morning, the ambulance bay doors burst open. I looked up from the medication cart I was organizing, expecting another routine emergency. The paramedics rushed in with a gurney, and I could hear them giving the report to Dr. Stevens. 2 patients, minor injuries from a car accident. Woman, 46 years old, possible concussion and lacerations. Man, 51, bruised ribs and minor cuts. They were the only 2 in the vehicle when it hit a telephone pole on Lakeshore Drive. I walked over to help, my training kicking in automatically. But as I approached the gurney, I froze. The woman lying there, blood trickling from a cut on her forehead, was Rachel. And on the second gurney being wheeled in behind her was Daniel, my husband, my best friend, together in a car accident at 1 in the morning. When Daniel had told me he was at school grading papers and Rachel had said she was with Tom, the world seemed to tilt on its axis. I stood there, unable to move, unable to process what I was seeing. Dr. Stevens looked at me, noticed my expression, and followed my gaze to the patients. "Lucy, do you know these people?" I couldn't speak. I just nodded. "That's her husband and her friend," said Jennifer, another nurse who knew my personal life. "Lucy, maybe you should step back. Let us handle this." But I couldn't move. I watched as they transferred Rachel to an examination bed as Dr. Stevens began assessing her injuries. Daniel was on another bed a few feet away, and he had opened his eyes. When he saw me standing there in my scrubs, his face went completely white. "Lucy," he said, his voice hoarse. "Oh God, Lucy." Rachel had opened her eyes too now, and when she saw me, she started crying. Not from physical pain, but from something else entirely. Guilt, I realized. She was crying from guilt. "What were you doing together?" I heard myself ask, my voice sounding distant and strange. "Daniel?" You said you were at school. Rachel, you said you were with Tom. The ER around us continued its usual chaos. Other nurses were dealing with other patients, doctors were shouting orders, monitors were beeping. But in that moment, all I could focus on was the two people on those gurneys, the two people I loved and trusted most in the world, who had clearly been lying to me. Lucy, please let me explain, Daniel said, trying to sit up but wincing in pain. Explain what? I asked, my voice rising now. Explain why you were together in a car at 1 a.m? Explain why you both lied to me? Lucy, not here, Rachel said, her voice weak. Please, not here. But I couldn't stop. 22 years of marriage, a lifetime of friendship, and this was how I found out they had been deceiving me. In my own emergency room, during my own shift, with my colleagues as witnesses, Dr. Stevens stepped between me and the patients. Lucy, I need you to step out. You're too close to this situation. Go take a break. We'll handle their care. I want to know what they were doing together, I said, my voice breaking now. And you will get answers, Dr. Stevens said gently. But not here, not now. They need medical attention, and you need to step back. That's an order. Jennifer took my arm and guided me away from the examination area, through the doors and into the staff break room. I sank into a chair, my legs finally giving out, and that's when the tears came. Great, heaving sobs that shook my entire body. How long do you think it's been going on? Jennifer asked softly. I don't know, I managed to say between sobs. I didn't even know there was anything to go on. I trusted them completely. I'm so sorry, Lucy. I sat there for what felt like hours, but was probably only 20 minutes. Finally, I wiped my tears and stood up. I need to know what happened. I need to hear them explain this. We walked back out to the ER floor. Dr. Stevens approached me immediately. They're both stable. Minor injuries, nothing serious. Rachel has a mild concussion and needed a few stitches. Daniel has bruised ribs but no fractures. We're keeping them for observation for a few more hours. Can I talk to them? Dr. Stevens looked at me with sympathy. You can, but Lucy, maybe you should wait until you're off shift. I can't wait, I said. I need answers now. He nodded and gestured toward the examination area. Daniel was sitting up on his bed now, still in the clothes he had been wearing. A button-down shirt and jeans, not the casual clothes he usually wore when grading papers at school. Rachel was in the next bay, separated by just a curtain. I approached Daniel first. He looked up at me, and I could see tears streaming down his face. Lucy, I am so sorry, he began. What were you doing with Rachel? I asked, my voice cold and clinical now. We were just talking, he said. I swear to you, nothing physical has happened between us. Just talking? At 1 a.m? In a car on Lakeshore Drive? You expect me to believe that? He looked down at his hands. It sounds bad, I know, but it's the truth. Rachel and I have been meeting up occasionally just to talk. About what? What could you possibly need to talk to my best friend about that you couldn't talk to me about? About us, he said quietly. About our marriage. About how disconnected we've become. Rachel understands what I'm going through because she's experiencing the same thing with Tom. I felt like I had been slapped. So, instead of coming to me, your wife, to talk about problems in our marriage, you went to my best friend? I didn't know how to talk to you about it, he said. You're always so busy with work, so tired when you get home. I didn't want to add to your stress. Don't you dare put this on me, I said, my voice shaking with anger now. Don't you dare make your betrayal my fault. I turned away from him and pulled back the curtain separating his bay from Rachel's. She was sitting up too, a bandage on her forehead, her eyes red from crying. How could you? I asked her. You're supposed to be my best friend. I am your best friend, she said, sobbing. Lucy, I love you. I never meant to hurt you. Then why were you sneaking around with my husband? It wasn't like that, she insisted. Daniel and I have been talking about our marriages, about how lonely we've both been feeling. It was just emotional support, I swear. Does Tom know you've been meeting Daniel in secret? Her silence was answer enough. So you've both been lying to your spouses, sneaking around, having secret meetings. How is that not an affair? Because nothing physical happened, Rachel said desperately. We never kissed, never touched inappropriately. It was just conversation. Emotional affairs are still affairs, I said, the words bitter on my tongue. You gave each other the emotional intimacy that should have been reserved for your spouses. You formed a connection that excluded me and Tom. That's betrayal, Rachel. I looked at both of them, these two people I had loved and trusted, and I felt nothing but pain and anger. I can't do this right now, I said finally. I have 3 more hours left on my shift, and I have actual patients who need my help. I turned and walked away, ignoring Daniel calling my name, ignoring Rachel's sobs. I had work to do, and right now, that was the only thing keeping me from completely falling apart. The remaining hours of my shift passed in a blur. I moved through my tasks mechanically, checking vitals, administering medications, all while my mind replayed that scene over and over. By the time 7 a.m. rolled around and my replacement arrived, I was emotionally and physically exhausted. I changed out of my scrubs in the locker room, avoiding eye contact with colleagues who had witnessed the drama. When I walked out to the parking lot, I found Daniel waiting by my car. He had been discharged and was standing there, looking miserable. "Lucy, please, we need to talk," he said as I approached. "How did you get here? Where's your car?" "It was towed from the accident scene. I took a cab. Please, Lucy, just hear me out." I unlocked my car. "Get in. I'll drive you home. But that doesn't mean I'm ready to forgive you." We drove in silence for the first few minutes. Finally, Daniel spoke. "I know what it looked like last night. I know you have every right to be angry, but I need you to understand that nothing physical happened between Rachel and me." "How long has this been going on?" I asked. "About 4 months, he admitted. "It started back in July. Rachel and I ran into each other at a coffee shop. We started talking about our marriages, about feeling invisible to our spouses. After that, we started meeting up occasionally. 4 months, a third of a year. How often did you meet?" "Once a week, sometimes twice, usually for coffee or just to talk in the car." "And you never thought to tell me you were unhappy in our marriage?" Daniel was quiet for a moment. "I didn't want to burden you. You work so hard, Lucy. You come home exhausted from saving lives, and I didn't want to complain about feeling neglected. So instead, you got emotional support from my best friend," I said bitterly. "It wasn't planned. It just happened. Rachel was going through the same thing with Tom. We understood each other." "What were you doing last night that caused the accident?" He sighed. "We were just driving around, talking. Rachel was upset because she and Tom had a fight. She called me and I agreed to meet her. We were so caught up in conversation that I didn't see the ice on the road." I pulled into our driveway. Our house looked the same as always, but everything felt different now. "I want you to move into the guest room," I said. "I can't share a bed with you right now." "Lucy, please." "That's not negotiable, Daniel. You betrayed my trust. I need space to process this." He nodded, defeated. "Whatever you need." Over the next few days, I went through the motions of life. I showed up for my shifts at the hospital, came home, avoided Daniel as much as possible. Rachel called and texted constantly. Finally, a week after the accident, I agreed to meet her at a park near our neighborhood. It was late afternoon, the November air cold and sharp. "Thank you for seeing me," Rachel said, her voice small. "I'm here to listen, not to forgive," I said. "I need to understand how you could do this to me." Rachel looked down at her hands. "I don't have a good explanation, Lucy. Tom and I have been struggling for years. He works constantly, barely notices me anymore. When Daniel and I started talking, it felt good to have someone who understood." "I would have understood," I said, my voice breaking. "I'm your best friend. I know, and I should have come to you, but I was ashamed. You and Daniel always seemed so solid. I didn't want to burden you with my marital problems. So instead, you burdened my marriage with your emotional needs." She flinched. "It wasn't like that. Or maybe it was. I was lonely, and Daniel was lonely, and we found comfort in each other. Why should I believe you?" "Because I love you," she said, tears streaming down her face. "You're the sister I never had. But you did hurt me, Rachel. You took something that should have been mine, and you made it yours." We sat in silence, watching children play on the playground. "Does Tom know?" I asked. "Yes," she said quietly. "I told him everything. He's furious. He's talking about divorce." "And what about Daniel?" I asked. "Do you have feelings for him?" Rachel was quiet for a long moment. "I care about him, but I don't love him romantically. He was a friend, someone who understood what I was going through. A friend you met in secret, a friend you lied about. I know. I wish I could take it back, Lucy." I stood up. "I need time, Rachel. Time to figure out if I can forgive you, if our friendship can survive this. Take all the time you need," she said. I walked away, leaving her sitting on that bench, and I felt a profound sense of loss. 2 weeks after the accident, I finally agreed to marriage counseling. Daniel had been begging me to go, insisting that we needed professional help. Dr. Susan Mitchell was in her 60s, with kind eyes and a calm demeanor. Her office was warm and welcoming. Daniel and I sat on opposite ends of her couch, the physical distance between us a reflection of the emotional chasm. "Tell me what brought you here," Dr. Mitchell said. I looked at Daniel, then back at the therapist. "My husband has been having an emotional affair with my best friend. I found out when they were brought into my emergency room after a car accident." Dr. Mitchell's expression remained neutral. "Daniel, is that an accurate description?" He nodded miserably. "Yes, though I want to clarify that nothing physical happened. Physical affairs and emotional affairs can be equally damaging," Dr. Mitchell said. "Let's start by understanding how this began." Over the next hour, Daniel explained how he had been feeling invisible in our marriage, how our relationship had become all about logistics, how he had stopped really talking to me. "Lucy, how does it make you feel to hear this?" Dr. Mitchell asked. "Angry," I said honestly, "and sad. Angry that he didn't come to me. Sad that I didn't notice how unhappy he was." Over the following weeks, we had several more sessions. Dr. Mitchell helped us understand that while Daniel's choice was his responsibility, our marriage had been struggling long before that. We had stopped making each other a priority, but understanding the context didn't erase the betrayal. During one particularly difficult session, I broke down completely. "How am I supposed to trust you again?" I asked Daniel through my tears. "Every time you're late coming home, I'm going to wonder if you're lying to me again." "I know," he said. "I know I destroyed your trust, and I know it will take time to rebuild it, but I'm willing to do whatever it takes, Lucy. I need to know that you've completely ended things with Rachel." "I have," he said firmly. "I haven't spoken to her since the night of the accident. I blocked her number, her email, everything." At home, things remained tense. Daniel had moved back into our bedroom at my request, not because everything was fine, but because Dr. Mitchell suggested that physical proximity could help rebuild intimacy. But we slept on opposite sides of the bed. My daughters called regularly, and I struggled with what to tell them. Finally, I decided they deserved to know the truth. I had separate phone calls with Emma and Sophie, explaining that their father and I were going through a difficult time, that he had formed an inappropriate friendship with Rachel, and that we were working through it in counseling. Both girls were shocked. Emma was particularly angry. "How could Dad do that to you?" she asked. "People make mistakes," I said, trying to be fair. "Your father and I had let our marriage become stale, and he made a bad choice in how to deal with that. Are you going to divorce him?" "I don't know yet, sweetheart. We're trying to work through it." As the weeks turned into months, I found myself wrestling with that question daily. Was my marriage worth fighting for? Daniel was trying so hard, doing everything right. He was completely transparent, coming straight home from work, planning date nights, writing me love letters, but the hurt remained. Every time I thought about him and Rachel together, my chest tightened with pain. One evening in January, 3 months after the accident, I was getting ready for a night shift when Daniel came into the bathroom. "Lucy, can we talk for a minute?" I nodded. "I know you're still hurting, but I need to know something. Do you think you'll ever be able to forgive me? Do you think our marriage can survive this?" I turned to look at him. "I don't know, Daniel. Some days I think maybe we can get past this. Other days I look at you, and all I see is the man who betrayed me." "I didn't choose her over you," he said. "I made a terrible mistake, but it was never about choosing her. It was about running away from problems I should have faced with you." "I understand that intellectually," I said, "but my heart is still catching up." He nodded. "Take all the time you need. I'll be here." As I drove to the hospital that evening, I thought about forgiveness. Was it something you decided to do, or something that happened naturally over time? I didn't have the answers. But as I walked into the ER, past the ambulance bay where I had first seen Daniel and Rachel together, I realized something. I was still here. I was still showing up to my marriage, still going to therapy, still trying. That had to mean something. Spring arrived in Chicago, bringing warmer weather and the promise of renewal. It had been 5 months since that November night, and I was beginning to see signs of healing. Daniel and I had continued with therapy. Dr. Mitchell had helped us understand that rebuilding trust was a process, not an event. There would be setbacks and progress, good days and bad days. One significant change was how we communicated. We had started having weekly conversations where we checked in with each other, about how we were feeling, what we needed. "I'm still struggling with intrusive thoughts," I told Daniel during one of these check-ins. "I'll be at work, and suddenly I'll picture you and Rachel together, and all the hurt comes flooding back." "I understand," he said. "What can I do when that happens? Just be patient with me. Don't get defensive when I need reassurance." He reached across the table and took my hand. "I can do that." We had also started dating each other again, deliberately choosing activities that reminded us why we had fallen in love. We took a cooking class together. We started hiking on weekends. We attended concerts, reconnecting over shared interests we had neglected. The physical intimacy in our marriage had been slow to return. For months, I couldn't bear for Daniel to touch me meaningfully. But gradually, as trust began to rebuild, I found myself accepting his gestures of affection. The situation with Rachel was more complicated. She and Tom had separated. I heard updates through mutual friends, and each piece of news brought complex emotions. In March, 6 months after the accident, Rachel reached out via email. She wrote a long letter taking full responsibility for her role in the betrayal, explaining that she was in therapy and asking if there was any possibility of eventual reconciliation. I showed the email to Dr. Mitchell. "How does reading this make you feel?" she asked. "Conflicted," I admitted. "Part of me wants to respond. Another part is still too angry." "What does your gut tell you?" I thought about it. "That I'm not ready yet. Maybe someday, but not now." I drafted a brief response to Rachel. "I appreciate your apology. I'm not ready to rebuild our friendship yet, but I don't wish you ill. Take care." It felt right, honest, without being cruel. As spring turned to summer, Daniel and I celebrated our 23rd anniversary. It felt surreal after the year we'd had. We went to a small bed and breakfast in Michigan, spending a long weekend away from Chicago. On our anniversary night, we sat on the porch of our room, watching the sunset over Lake Michigan. "A year ago, I almost destroyed the best thing in my life," Daniel said. "I was selfish and stupid. Lucy, you've given me a gift I don't deserve, a second chance. I want you to know that I don't take it for granted." I looked at him, and I felt something shift in my chest. The hurt was still there, but it had transformed into something manageable. "I'm glad I stayed," I said. "There were moments when I wanted to give up, but I'm glad I chose to fight for us." That night, we made love for the first time since the accident, and it felt like a reclamation of our marriage. By fall, a year after the accident, I realized I had turned a corner. The intrusive thoughts were less frequent. I could hear Rachel's name without my stomach clenching. I could trust Daniel without immediately assuming the worst. One October evening, Daniel gave me a small box. Inside was a beautiful necklace with a phoenix pendant. "To symbolize what we've done," he explained, "rising from the ashes of what we almost lost." I put it on, feeling the weight of it against my chest, a reminder of our journey. "Thank you," I said, "for fighting for us. Thank you for letting me try." That night at work, as I walked past the ambulance bay, I no longer felt the sharp pain I had felt for months. Instead, I felt gratitude. Grateful that the accident had exposed the truth. Grateful that I had found the strength to demand honesty. Grateful that Daniel had risen to the challenge. Our marriage would never be the same as before. We had scars, but in some ways, it was better now. We were more honest, more intentional, more committed. We had learned not to take each other for granted. As I finished my shift the next morning and walked out to my car, I saw the sunrise painting the Chicago skyline in shades of pink and gold. A new day, a new beginning. Daniel was waiting at home with coffee and breakfast, a routine we had established. We sat together in the kitchen, talking about our days, making plans for the weekend, just being together. "I love you," he said, as he did every morning now. "I love you too," I replied, and I meant it with my whole heart. Our story hadn't ended that November night in the ER. It had simply entered a new chapter, one written with honesty and hard-won wisdom. And as we sat together in the morning light, I felt at peace with our journey, knowing that whatever challenges lay ahead, we would face them together, with truth and love lighting the way.